Teams aren't supposed to reinvent themselves overnight. They aren't supposed to reshape an entire identity in a few months, replacing core pieces, redefining roles, and expecting everything to fall in place the moment the new season begins. But somehow, the Toronto Raptors defied every expectation and rewrote the script entirely. A franchise that looked stuck in neutral for 4 straight years suddenly surged into the spotlight with one of the most impressive starts in the league. 14 wins in 19 games, a 9-game win streak, a top 5 standing on both ends of the floor, and a newfound composure normally associated with postseason veterans. It felt like a transformation too sharp, too clean, too sudden to be believable. Yet nothing about their performance has suggested it's a mirage. If anything, the early stretch has revealed that Toronto has built something real, something sustainable, and something far more dangerous than anyone expected. For years, the Raptors had been known for everything except reliable half-court offense. They lived in transition, thrived in chaos, swarmed opponents with hyperactive defense, and bullied their way to second-chance opportunities. But when the game slowed and possessions tightened, their offense often dissolved into isolation heaves, stalled ball movement, and late-clock desperation. Every season, they finished near the bottom of the league in half-court scoring, unable to manufacture clean looks when it mattered most. And year after year, that flaw became the fatal crack that held them back from taking a real leap. But this season, the narrative flipped in a way that stunned the entire league. Overnight, the Raptors became one of the most efficient half-court teams in basketball, carving up defenses with structure instead of scrambling for scraps of offense. The catalyst behind this complete offensive rebirth is the one element Toronto had been chasing ever since Kawhi Leonard left: a genuine, dependable half-court star. Brandon Ingram has become the steadying force they've been missing. His game is built on timing, patience, and the ability to dig into his bag at will. He gives the Raptors the one thing they never had during the transition era: control. With Ingram directing possessions, Toronto no longer panics when the shot clock winds down. He can slow defenders down, manipulate spacing, and create shots without needing a screen. His presence alone rearranges the defense and forces rotations, unlocking the floor for everyone around him. This is not about him scoring 30 a night, it's about him giving the Raptors a foundation in the half-court. A player who doesn't just survive the slowdown but thrives in it. And with that foundation in place, everything around him has blossomed. Scottie Barnes has benefited more than anyone. The moment Toronto acquired Ingram, skeptics predicted the pairing would clash. 2 forwards occupying similar zones on the floor seemed destined to trip over each other after years of spacing struggles. But reality proved far different. Instead of suffocating each other's opportunities, their synergy has formed the most balanced and effective offensive duo Toronto has had in years. With Ingram shouldering the late clock pressure, Barnes has shifted from being the primary target of defensive overloads to becoming the release valve, the connector, the playmaker who attacks broken defenses instead of initiating offense against a wall of bodies. When opponents blitz Ingram, Barnes becomes the easy outlet. When smaller defenders switch onto Ingram, Barnes becomes the attacker on the second action. When teams sag into drop coverage, Barnes becomes the secondary scorer who feasts off Ingram's gravitational pull. And in all of this, Barnes has stepped into the season with a skill set that finally reflects the star potential fans believed he possessed. The improvement in Barnes' shooting alone has shifted Toronto's entire offensive geometry. Last year, defenses completely ignored him on the perimeter. This year, Barnes has rebuilt his jumper into a credible and respected threat, knocking down shots at nearly 40%. That single adjustment has unlocked cleaner driving lanes for Ingram and forced defenses to treat Barnes as a full-court offensive weapon rather than a reluctant shooter. And with improved finishing in transition, Barnes is finally punishing teams in the open floor with the efficiency expected from someone with his physical tools. His rim pressure has increased dramatically. His mid-range bailouts have decreased, and his trips to the free throw line have turned into crucial, game-changing moments. His 14 for -14 performance against Indiana is the perfect example of how discipline and development can directly swing a game. Together, Ingram and Barnes have formed what looks like a legitimate 2-star foundation. But the Raptors' rise is also tied to the remarkable fit of the rotation surrounding them. RJ Barrett, in his healthiest games before injury, played the best basketball of his career, attacking the rim with force and stabilizing possessions when Ingram and Barnes needed relief. His downhill pressure forced defenses into uncomfortable rotations and opened the floor for cutters and shooters. Losing him briefly exposed just how essential he is to Toronto's balanced defensive structure. Emmanuel quickly, after a slow start, eventually rediscovered his rhythm once Jakob Poeltl returned. With Poeltl anchoring actions, Quickly's pick-and-roll game flourished once again, and his steady blend of patience and opportunistic aggression gave Toronto a guard who controls tempo rather than reacting to it. Jakob Poeltl himself has quietly become the backbone of everything Toronto does. He may not fill highlight reels, but his timing, screens, rim protection, and interior reads make him indispensable. His late-game block against Indiana was a perfect snapshot of his value. The kind of winning play that doesn't show up in a social media clip but completely changes the outcome of a game. And behind the core five, Toronto's bench, once one of the weakest in the league, has transformed into a strength. Jamal Sheed manages second unit possessions with poise. Mamu adds versatility in the front court. Jakob Wata delivers reliable two-way minutes. And Grady Dick has carved out a niche as a confident floor spacer. But the most impressive element of Toronto's reinvention is the complete overhaul of their defensive identity. Last season's scheme relied heavily on chaos, overhelping, and gambling for turnovers. It created highlight steals but left the team vulnerable to disciplined opponents. This year, everything feels calculated. Rotations are tight, coverages are mixed strategically, and ball pressure has purpose rather than panic. The Raptors aren't relying on havoc anymore. They're building stops through structure, communication, and trust. That's why their defense skyrocketed from bottom of the league to top 3 within weeks. And when you blend an elite defense with a stabilized half-court offense, you get something rare in today's NBA. A team that can win in different ways, in different tempos, against different opponents. Now, the real test is approaching. January and February bring Denver, New York, Orlando, Boston, and Philadelphia. The contenders, the measuring sticks, the teams that expose pretenders and validate the real threats. But based on everything Toronto has shown, balance, maturity, discipline, structure, it becomes increasingly difficult to dismiss their success as a hot start. Their identity is too clear, their execution too consistent, their improvement too dramatic to ignore. This isn't luck. This is development. This is cohesion. This is a franchise finally stepping out of transition mode and into something far more stable. The Raptors don't just look good, they look legitimate. And now, the rest of the league is starting to realize it. What do you think? Are the Raptors truly building a contender, or is a brutal stretch of schedule waiting to expose